because this is a new season for us. I don't know if LinkedIn still has that pause from when we start to,
You have to assume it does.
Yeah, I have to assume it does. So I have to do a little bit of what I like to call filler conversation like this right here.
Right.
So, hey everyone, welcome back to No Law Firm Left Behind. This is our 5th season. 5 seasons of this stuff, right? We've been off since August, late August, or early August, late July, and I'm really excited to be back. So, real quick, if you don't know what No Law Firm Left Behind is, it started way back. Dave and I started this way back at COVID times. I know that seems like a long time ago. To help lawyers grow their business and improve their business, so they didn't go out of business, right? And it's morphed into so many different things, and today it's really just still about helping lawyers succeed more in their law practice. Wouldn't you say, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that doesn't go away. It's something that we always strive to do, and so that's what we're going to keep doing.
Exactly right. And so today I've got my former partner Dave Myers on. Dave, thank you for joining. This is a really important topic, if you ask me. It's not the first time we've talked about it, but I don't think we can talk about it enough because I don't think enough attorneys niche. You agree?
No, it's definitely something that we've talked about multiple times, but it doesn't mean that it becomes any less relevant or any less important.
No. And with your departure from SpliceNet, by the way, we miss you so much. And turning back to practicing law, you've done similar for yourself. I mean, you basically, have started targeting our niche, right? MSPs, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really been pretty interesting. I came here to Buckingham, and the original plan was to focus a niche on data privacy, cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, I still do plenty of work in that space. And so without getting off the rails, it is possible to have multiple niches. And I know we used to do that at SpliceNet as well.
Yeah.
And you can have particular messages for particular niches. But what happened was, over the last year plus, I had from the give me one second. My computer is being strange. There we go. All right. Sorry about that.
You're good.
The experience that I had from the time that I spent with SpliceNet has now been turned into a totally new and additional niche that I hadn't even anticipated. I don't know why I didn't think about it when I came here, but it almost hit me one day. I was like, wait a minute, David, you've got all this experience in a particular industry. Why aren't you using that to build a particular practice area? And so that's what I started doing.
Way back before we started No Law Firm Left Behind, you and I were playing with this legal marketing toolkit. Remember that?
I do.
And one of the first things that we did in this, and legal marketing toolkit is still a thing, right? But it's just not where we're focusing. I'll probably roll it out again this year, update it and roll it out again this year. And so remember, we brought in a pilot group of attorneys, right? And a number of times, we had some serious sessions going for a while where we were helping them find their gold nuggets, right?
Right.
It was fun. I remember we were dealing with a personal injury attorney at the time. And that personal injury attorney, we wanted to do more and more and more personal injury, right? Grow his firm, right?
Right.
And it turned out, after just talking through and discovering where do these cases come from, what's your referral source? Do you remember what it was?
I don't remember. I'm going to
chiropractors.
That's right. Yep. That's right. Yep.
You know what I mean? It was chiropractors, and they would refer from people to come in after car accidents and refer business over to this attorney. And our thought was, of course, following all professional ethics as possible, right? Because you don't want to cross the line in that area at all. We did not recommend anything anything from, like that, but to develop relationships with more and more chiropractors.
Mm-hmm.
And to, develop that relationship, let them know, hey, we're here. If you have a situation where you have a client that needs legal representation, or you suspect needs legal tell them to tell us, right?
And here's the thing, with regards to the mechanics, the way that we market, yeah, there are some restrictions
Yes.
that the legal industry has, but this is not something that's new. Don't call it sales if you don't
Nope.
want to, but we do business development all the time.
Yeah.
And as we get busier, we tend to have less time that we devote to that consistent business development. And what that means is that we have to make sure that the time that we spend is more focused on the things that work.
Right.
And that's where niching really comes into play, is it's saying, what are the areas where my efforts at developing business are really paying off?
Yeah.
Spend a lot of time, waste a lot of time trying to sell to people who aren't going to buy, or even if they do buy, they're not really the clients that are going to build a full-on practice area for you.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, you have to decide at a certain point in the maturity of a business, and a law firm is just a business. Legal practice is just a business, right? Every business has to decide, who are they, right?
Exactly.
And who am I not? Also, let's not forget the importance of, who am I not? Okay. And that journey has to take place at some point. There was another example when we're doing LMT, the Legal Marketing Toolkit. And it was another attorney who, title closings. Remember title closings, right?
I do.
And I know who I'm talking about in this one.
Mhm.
Good friend of ours. And we started talking about, you had a title company and some other practice areas, right? But the title company was doing okay, right?
Right.
Very self-sufficient type of business that was related to the lawyer. He was the lawyer that signed all the paperwork, correct? And I don't pretend to know how the practice area works, from a legality
I don't
perspective.
either.
Yeah. But we, after investigating, we want to grow this title practice, right, which is related to the law firm. And we said, okay, let's talk about the root of where you're getting your business. We said, you need to build relationships with the realtors,
Right.
or the mortgage companies, right, whatever that is. And it's a way to, another gold nugget moment. That's another way to niche, right? And that's all you got to do. It's not about, of course, you got to be good at what you do, right? But you got to find.
It's assumed that you have a certain level of competence in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's really more about how we go beyond that level of competence to say, this is why I'm different. This is why I'm special. This is what makes me unique in the marketplace, and why you should choose me instead of some other attorney at some other firm.
Yeah. The unique differentiator, unique selling proposition is what it's called, the USP, right? So Dave, let's talk about you. Okay.
Yeah.
Segue a little bit here. So you were a business partner in SpliceNet. No
Right.
Law Firm Left Behind sponsors. Is sponsored by SpliceNet. It's all made possible by SpliceNet Consulting. And so you were a lawyer before, and we found each other. You were practicing law.
Long time
You
ago.
found me. What's that?
Long time ago, 2007.
I know. Wow. You're old.
I know.
I look exactly the same.
Tell me about it.
But you found me, and we started working together on a technology project for that firm. Some months later, we connected. I can't even remember exactly how we reconnected. Do you remember?
Oh, it was so silly. It was simply a purchase of a single license of hot docs.
Isn't that funny?
Is what reinitiated the conversation.
Yeah. and you just loved the technology, loved working for lawyers. I told you were crazy. I think I remember saying those words. You're crazy. You're a lawyer, but it worked out great. And think about that. You came in and man, your technical prowess, I'm sure you still have it, but was amazing. You could, I remember that you would take on projects that you've never seen before and you would nail it. And it just always worked out.
That's passion, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to love something to be able to really tackle it. That's always what I've been, and you and I had many discussions through the years about, should we really look for a passion, or is it just always work? And there's so many different perspectives on that. But to me, if you're not at least excited by what it is that you're doing every day, the subject matter of what you're doing every day, it becomes drudgery and it's awful and you tend to underperform. And so when it came time to tackle that new technology that none of us had touched before, I wanted to do it because I thought it was going to be cool to learn something new.
Yeah.
And so it was that passion that drove me to, have many, many late nights of trying to figure out how this stuff worked.
Mm-hmm. But I also think that you had a lackluster passion for the area of law that you were in at the time too.
It was a huge, that was a big thing. Prior to started working with you, I was a tax attorney, and I know plenty there, Buckingham has a huge, strong tax practice.
Yeah.
I avoid it. I have no interest in being in that area anymore, because while it's technically very interesting, it's just, I didn't have a passion for it.
Yeah.
And so you get the same level of challenge without passion, and it becomes a recipe for burnout. And it burned out pretty fast early on in my legal career. Well, I would say that what I'm doing today is in totally different ways. Everybody's challenged.
Don't get there yet. Don't give it away yet. Don't give it away yet. Don't give it away yet. We're moving in that direction. So here we are practicing IT support. We become a managed service provider, right? All these years you're a partner of the company, and let me say that when it came to understanding the ramifications of legalities, right? I never had to worry. Right. I always knew that, you had that. Right. And what you didn't have, you knew how to outsource that legal aspect of it and essentially manage our whatever outside counsel that we used over the years. Right. And we were together through some interesting times. We had some mediations, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we had to deal with.
Businesses and legal disputes are going to come up regardless of, the best intentions that you have to avoid them at all costs. You're still going to have disputes. And it's how do you address them legally as well as from a business perspective?
Yeah. And I'd always say something like, hey, I want to change our master customer agreement, or what do you think about on the statement of work? And, it was a nice cross check to Dave, and Dave's nope. Yeah, that works. No, let's put it this way. Let's do this, and it always works out well.
And the exercise of going through and saying, what is it that we're trying to achieve with this change?
Yeah.
Why, Jim, you had this idea. I want to make this change to our master services agreement. Okay, that's great. What are you trying to accomplish by it? Mm-hmm. Because the way you're trying to accomplish it may or may not be the right way to go about it. We might be able to accomplish the goal in a way that works a lot better. And so we had so many instances of where we would go back and forth and say, how do we meet the business objective and how do we make the legal stuff fit in with that business objective?
And so what I would also add to that, one of the benefits that you had as a person that has a legal mind, but also as an owner of an MSP, it wasn't always an MSP. That wasn't a word people used, managed service. Remember, we were sitting at BW3's. How do we become a managed service provider instead of just some,
just
company
two guys?
people? Oh,
Just two guys fixing computers.
That's it. How do we do that, right?
Right.
And we looked at that industry, and it wasn't even an industry at the time. It was just
It
some
was just
fragmented words
blossoming
people
at the
threw
time.
together.
Yeah, it was really just starting to blossom at that time, where
Yeah.
people were changing from IT support companies into something else.
Yeah. SaaS wasn't even a thing back then,
Right.
you know, or any of the AASs, and I'm not going to say
Right.
and none of the, PAS, IaaS, SaaS, HAS, none of that was there.
Right.
And what I think was really exciting, hopefully from you, and I think that maybe we didn't notice it as we went through it, but for you, you got to develop an industry, right? With me, right?
Yeah, we were there, and we saw that transition from the way IT support used to be provided to
Yeah.
businesses and to what it is today, which is a completely different
Oh
beast.
my gosh.
We were talking before we even started here today, the number of people that even give and do, the whole break fix hourly model is very, very
Diminished.
much a minority,
It's diminished. Yeah.
from what
It's
I see.
severely
Yeah.
diminished. Yeah. And so what is interesting about that, and by the way, if you're an MSP out there and you're listening, and if you're not, you should be, okay? Because this show's a dual show today. This show is for lawyers on how to niche, but it's also to tell MSPs, listen to this guy right here,
Yeah.
And so, and that was a public service announcement right there, Dave.
There you go.
The ability to see, and we had this in technology, and you had this in legal as well as technology, to see an industry grow from its infancy to its, I don't even think it's mature at this point still.
I call it, it's in its adolescence at this point.
Yeah, I would say there
Maybe
still.
it's teen years if we're lucky.
Yeah. And the ability to see what works and what doesn't work over the years was something that you got to benefit from, whereas another attorney just coming out of law school, hanging their shingle and saying, I'm going to be an MSP lawyer, doesn't really get where it started,
No, and this is the thing, is that there's so many ways, and today's topic about how to succeed via niching is there's so many different ways that you can niche yourself. You can niche yourself within a particular practice area of law. That's the traditional way that we've done it.
Yeah.
Okay. Lawyers traditionally have said, well, I'm a patent lawyer. I'm a tax lawyer.
Perfectly good niche.
And those are absolutely fine niches. And that's the traditional way that lawyers will find themselves to be niched.
I represent wealthy women getting divorces. That's a niche.
Mm-hmm. And so, well, and that's a little bit newer, because a lot of that, at least I shouldn't say newer, that's not the right way to put it. A lot of people will mistakenly look at that person that represents those wealthy women wanting to get divorced and say, I'm a divorce lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is the other kind of niching that I think is still underutilized. And all of the examples that you were just talking about with the LMT, the legal marketing toolkit, it was not about what's your practice area.
Mm-mm.
It's who do you serve? Who is your client? And the most successful attorneys that I know have understood that it's not just about the practice area. It's about taking the practice area and saying, how do I apply it to a particular customer? That's the kind of niching that, we really want to encourage MSPs and other attorneys to really think about.
Yeah. Yeah, Dave, I tell you, there's a whole, we used to do this whole process where we help lawyers go through this to figure it out for themselves. Yours was just ready-made, right? I mean, you had to go through the process. Don't get me wrong,
Honestly, I'm almost a bit embarrassed that it took me the better part of 6 months to realize that I was ignoring probably the most, promising opportunity that was in front of me.
I'm going to exonerate you from that. I'm going to step in and interrupt you, and I'm going to exonerate you from that. Data privacy is a very specific niche that you still practice, but you were developing that and not focused on anything else. So don't kick yourself for that.
So, well, here's the thing, and this is where it all makes so much sense in retrospect. Data privacy and cybersecurity, they really go hand in hand. This is not meant to be a discussion of what the differences are between the two. No. And so I'm not even going to go there. We'll just use the two interchangeably, even though they are different concepts. Okay.
Yep.
So we're going to take data privacy and cybersecurity. That's great. We understand it as a concept. We understand that there's a whole legal space that is here. What are your requirements? Blah, blah, blah. Right. But who are the other key players in that industry, in that subject area? It's your technology folks. It's your managed security providers and your managed security service providers, right? And so I was initially saying, all right, we're going to go straight to, let's just take some of the other industries, manufacturing. And I'm going to convince somebody in manufacturing that they need to bring me in to, help them with their legal compliance, et cetera, for data privacy and cybersecurity. And I obviously, there's success to be had there.
Yeah.
But just like that personal injury attorney,
your gold nugget,
who was getting a lot of his clients from chiropractors, did he go out and try and find the person that had gotten hurt? I mean, he would have gotten success that way too.
Yeah, they're marketing to out there.
But almost pound for pound, he got way more results from spending those precious business development hours communicating with the chiropractors instead of with the end personal, with the end injured individual. And that's what's changed for me.
Yeah.
Is instead of trying to go directly to the end client who absolutely has a need for my services, I'm going towards the other players in this space. And sometimes the MSP is my client. Sometimes they're just somebody that I know that understands the value that I can bring and understands my knowledge base and can bring me in to their clients. Mm-hmm. And so, by changing this focus as to who I'm marketing to and who I'm selling to has really helped to, it's done a 180 for what I expected to be doing to what I'm doing.
Well, you found your gold nugget, right?
Right.
That, wait a minute. MSPs have the customers that I want to serve. And I also can serve MSPs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gold nugget right there.
So that's one of them.
Yeah.
I would say that there are really 3 gold nuggets here today. Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
The first one is finding that overlap. Finding that, I hate the word synergy, but I'm going to use it anyway. Finding that synergy where
I love that
by reaching out to the MSPs, I'm also ultimately getting in front of the end clients that I also want to assist in getting business there. So that's the first one. The second one is that, actually we already kind of talked about this, the second one, and that is focusing on niching by determining who your ultimate client is rather than just your practice area. Okay, so changing that mentality.
Yeah.
The third gold nugget, and this is kind of what I think we can kind of focus on here, is what are you good at?
Mm-hmm.
What makes you special?
Yeah.
And when I go in to a managed service provider and I'm pitching them on, hey, you really should use me as your attorney, I will look at them and I use the phrase, there is only one way to get 14 years of experience in managed services, and it's to spend 14 years working in managed services.
In the trenches, man, in the trenches.
There is no way that somebody that hasn't done that can truly understand what it is that's keeping that business owner or that operations manager up at night.
Yeah.
And giving them indigestion, because I've been there. I've done it. I've had the headaches. I've had the
Oh my gosh,
I've had the terrors. Okay.
We
So I
bled together.
know. And just knowing that, it does two things. One, it helps me understand what the concerns are and helps me properly address them. Two, it also creates that sympathy, or empathy, or I always mix up the two. You know what I mean?
Whatever. You
Hey,
care. You understand.
I really actually want to help your business because your business means something to me because that's where it comes from.
Yeah. We talked about in the beginning, and I'll say it again. No, I don't want you to grow a competitor. Of course not. I'd be silly to tell you that. But you said something that I thought was profound, that I fully agree with, and I've always thought. And that was that it doesn't help the industry at all if any one MSP takes a particular fall. And
there's
that's
plenty of room for healthy competition.
Oh yeah.
And if one managed service provider outflanks another, builds a better mousetrap, finds a better, mixture that just captivates the market, wonderful. But I know, Jim, in all the years we worked together, we've seen some of our competitors who fell due to very unfortunate circumstances, and that's never a good feeling. You don't want to see somebody implode. That's just doesn't feel good. It's not good for your industry, and that's not how you want to win in the marketplace.
It's not. And when it does happen, you as that MSP have that now mindset that, are my customers thinking the same thing about us?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so, and you, by the way, have that ability, that innate ability, because you were with the MSP, the SpliceNet, for 14 years. Not only can you be that legal entity, right? That legal provider, but business consultant, you know what I mean? It's not that you necessarily get paid to do that, but if you see somebody having a challenge, did you ever think about doing it this way?
Well, yeah. I mean, most of my clients are what I would deem mid-market. Okay.
Yeah.
Which means they're not our Fortune 500 level companies that have exorbitant legal budgets that they can just spend anything and everything. Not that they can spend anything and everything either, but my clients, in the MSP space in particular, have to be very cost conscious with what they spend their legal funds on.
You got
and
it.
So given the myriad different issues that we could address and that we could worry about locking down in our agreements, it's about understanding, all right, here are the ones that are your biggest risks.
Yeah.
And these are the ones that we can actually do something about relatively easily versus here's the things where we're just going to be spinning our tires. And if you want to pay me my hourly rate to spin tires, I can do that. But I don't think it's a really good use of your money.
That's right. That's right. So Dave, we're gonna close it up here real quick. A couple of things, Dave. What I would say is, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, I popped your email address up on the page. I would recommend having Dave do a contract review, or maybe field some questions for you. Again, Dave, how do you feel about people reaching out to you? What should some of the things that they should be focused on first?
The biggest value, the biggest thing that I would say usually needs to be reviewed is the MSA, is that Master Services Agreement.
Yeah.
And it's because there's a number of gotchas, and there are a number of things that are unique to our industry that if you're just pulling a services contract from some other industry or something off the internet, or even something from maybe a general business attorney, they might not understand that there's a couple really big risks, and we got to make sure that we're plug in those holes.
Yeah.
And so that's usually when I start working with somebody, that's the very first thing that I do is we go through their master services agreement and we try to plug those holes that if this thing happened, it could end up torpedoing your company. And that's exactly what we just talked about. We don't want to see a member of the MSP community go down because of these, ridiculous things.
Yeah. And some things that are just not, I mean, it's not.
They're easy
so
to
avoidable,
address
so
if we think
avoidable.
about it.
So avoidable.
Yeah, it's very avoidable.
Very avoidable. So everyone, Dave Myers with DBL up in
Nope, BDB.
Thank you. Why did I do that?
That's okay.
Oh, I know why I did that. Sorry.
Yep.
It's my dyslexia for acronyms.
That's fair enough.
Lawyers. Yeah. So anyway, everybody, Buckingham, Dave's a great lawyer, good friend. So real quick, Dave, you know all about this stuff. If you're not a member of No Law Firm Left Behind, if you're a lawyer and you're not a member of No Law Firm Left Behind on LinkedIn, there is our group. Please go find it on LinkedIn. All you got to do is do a search and find either the No Law Firm Left Behind company page or the No Law Firm Left Behind group. We'll let you in, and all of our exclusive content is there. I'd also say if you're looking for past content from No Law Firm Left Behind, like I said, we got this is our 5th year. We got 4 years of content. Some of it's great, some of it's but it's all there on the page. Please go seek it out at SpliceNet. And Dave, final shameless plug: if you are looking for technology support, you need cybersecurity support, you need somebody to kind of take a look at things, just send me a private message. All right, Dave, I want to thank you for joining the show today.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun, and I'm looking forward to a 5th season.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have some fun. So thanks everyone, and we shall talk to you next week. Actually, next Tuesday at 10:30 Eastern. Take care.